Example 2 asks us for, or tells us rather, that the sum of the first 14 terms of a geometric series is 16,383. So they're telling us that sum of 14 terms is 16,383. Okay, our common ratio is spelled out for us. It's -2. And we are asked for term 1. Well, the one other thing we need in my equation is n. If we go back to the equation and write it out again just for reference sake, it's 1 minus r to the power of n over 1 minus r. So again, we know Sn, we know r. We just need to double check what n is because we're solving for term 1. So n is just our last term that we're adding, so that's going to be term 14. So the 14th term, n is 14. From here, it's plug and chug, but the chug part's going to be a little bit more challenging because we're trying to solve for something that's part of the bulk of our formula. So we've got 16,383 equals term 1 times 1 minus -2 to the power of 14, all divided by 1 minus -2. So 16,383 equals term 1. I'm going to simplify as much as I can, so I'm going to solve for this set of brackets, and I'm also going to solve for my denominator by using my calculator. Once I've simplified what's in the brackets in my numerator except for the term 1 part, and I've also simplified my denominator, now I can start manipulating my equation to isolate term 1. So again, I'm trying to get this by itself, so I need to move my denominator and that piece that I'm multiplying by. So I always like to get rid of my denominator first. It's just personal preference. We are dividing, so the opposite operation is going to be multiplying by 3. Again, it's +3 because remember that we add subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. Okay, so 3 cancels out, leaves me with term 1 times -16,383. And on my left-hand side, I am left with 49,149. From here, I'm going to divide by -16,383. And the reason I divide by 16,383 is because it is currently multiplying, so opposite operations. And I finally result with term 1 equals -3. And there we go. So that's how we solve backwards. So you still check your formula, you still make sure you only have one variable that the variable you're solving for is the only unknown. And then it's just a matter of remembering to follow your order of operations. And when we're stripping things away from that variable, we have to do the opposite operation. So if it's multiplying, we need to divide. If it's adding, we need to subtract. But always being very conscious of what are we actually doing with that number.